Welcome to The InEvitable, a podcast by MotorTrend.
Hi there, I'm Jonny Lieberman, and this is The InEvitable. This is MotorTrend's podcast, our vodcast about the future of cars, the future of transportation, the future of kind of obscure but growing European brands coming to America. But before we get to that, this guy, Ed Lowe, he's got a message just for you.
The InEvitable podcast is brought to you by the all-electric Nissan Ariya, inspired by the future, designed for the now. And right now, we actually do have a question for you. Thank you so much. Comes from Instagram, a gentleman by the name of whitestone.photography. His name is Michael O. He comes from Nashville, Tennessee. Quite a long question. Is there a reason why independent gas station owners are not adding charging stations for their EVs to their businesses? Are they contracted to prevent this? Is the short-term cost too high to justify a return on investment? I loved hearing about the one energy company doubling the range with LFP battery composition. I think this is an exciting time to see the tech advances in EV as it continues to improve in every way. Yada, 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 yada. Anyways, thank you. I love your podcast. You guys do a great job of explaining things. So great.
Nice.
Thank you, Michael.
Awesome. Thank you.
Your question, why are independent gas station owners not adding charging stations? Well, for one, consider asking an independent gas station owner. I don't know many here, like everyone. We don't.
Oh, there's still a bunch in LA. There's a ton. But I mean, look, you're talking about 125 grand at least.
Well, no, I mean,
For
I would
level
say
three.
Level 3, 200 grand. It's 100 grand, around 100 grand. Kyle Connor of AutoSpec would know all the details, but roughly speaking, a level 3 charger, about 100 grand. And then you need to spend probably another 6 figures to get it installed. And
that's one.
That's one.
So you want
and how
like
many
4.
And if you need, and then if you got to put 4 in,
Yeah.
good luck with your grid setup.
Right.
Because
And also good luck with just space. It's a lot of space for, I mean, remember these cars are going to be parked for like 20 minutes at a time.
right.
So
I that being said, and you know, this guy's from Nashville, so it's probably not happening. Hey, Nashville, big city in that part of the world.
yeah, Nashville's gone from like half million to 2 million people overnight.
But of course, LA, California in general is going to be doing quicker EV adoption, especially with the charging stuff. Are we seeing it out here? Yeah, here and there.
Here and
Little
very
EV
there.
Go, stations on the bigger, like suburban gas stations.
Yeah.
But I think you are correct. I think your third. I don't think they're contracted to prevent it. I don't think there's any kind of collusion going on with the gas stations. I mean, it's
care.
weird. It's weird. I saw this thing recently. The Shell CEO came out and said climate change is real.
Yeah.
Like-
well, not only that, Shell's putting in chargers everywhere.
Yeah,
You know?
they're finally getting on board.
And the other thing too is, gas stations aren't all that profitable. My understanding is that, a franchise gas station, all the profit is on stuff you eat. You make zero on gasoline.
Snacks,
Car washes are
cigarettes.
big. Cigarettes are great.
Slurpees,
Lottery
Diet
tickets.
Cokes,
Yeah.
those disgusting hot dogs. Yeah, that's where the money's made.
Yeah.
And then now car washes.
Yeah,
car washes have been the biggest thing to be interrupted by private equity. Apparently, the car wash subscriptions are the biggest thing.
I just got one myself. I'm addicted. But yeah, so I just think another profit center would be welcome. There's just not a lot of profit in charging, which is another problem. Which is so we're back to the chicken and egg square one thing. And again, and I'm just going to keep hammering on this, but if you own an EV and you have a house, you just don't even think about charging. And if you live in an apartment, it's all you do is think about charging because you probably can't get a charger in there. Right. So it does need to be solved. I don't know exactly what the solution is, but yeah, that's probably that's probably why you're not seeing a lot of independent operator gas stations putting in level 3 charging. Could they put in level 2? Absolutely. It wouldn't cost much, but it would be insane.
It takes too long.
Because it would take 8 hours to charge a typical car. So it's pointless.
Actually, he did have one other question in the end here. Are third-party charging manufacturers going to use the supercharger 800 volt specs for future charger units? Don't know. Going to have to do the research on that one. The latest I saw is that Tesla's latest generation is going to be up to 500 kilowatts,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's double the current highest spec. Well, no, I mean 800 volt. Who's doing 800 volt?
Porsche, Kia, Hyundai Kia right now.
Rivian's not doing.
Rivian's 400.
Okay.
Very, very simple.
So yeah, I think maybe you're confusing volts with kilowatts. I don't think so, but we'll have to do the research on that one. Anyways, Whitestone.photography, beautiful pictures. Thank you for the question. Let's talk about our guest today.
Yeah, interesting guest.
I don't even know. You sent this along? How did you get connected with this guy?
They reached out to me. They're the PR. We're talking about this car company called Cupra. There's a part of the Volkswagen Group. There's a company called Seat. I think it's how it's pronounced. Seat.
SEAT.
Seat, but Seat. They're in Spain. And in 2018, they established a spin-off brand called Cupra, and it's been a gangbuster success in Europe, so much so that they're going to bring these cars to the U.S. in 2030. So it'll be a new brand. And we have the CEO who's going to tell us all about it. But yeah, his PR people reached out to me like, hey, you're going to be in town the week of the LA Auto Show. You want to interview our CEO? And yeah, we like interviewing CEOs. Yes,
the gentleman's name is Wayne Griffiths, and he's been the CEO of Seat and Cupra since October 1st, 2020. He's like a 35-year veteran of VW Group. He started at Audi AG in Ingolstadt in 1989. So Jonny was a freshman in high school.
Yeah. Still in junior high for half that year.
Worked at Seat, and he's been with the brand, with the VW Group, ever since. And he left his position as head of sales for Audi AG to become Seat's president, or actually vice president of sales and marketing in 2016. So the dude's basically a lifer from VW Group.
Even though, as he bragged to us, I think off mic, he's never lived in Wolfsburg. He's very adamant. I've never done it. So
he's from Manchester, England. Mm-hmm. His father was as you'll find out, it was a Ford dealer, eventually a Ford dealer and a Kia dealer. Car guy through and through.
Yeah.
Interesting cat, interesting brand.
Yeah.
If you don't know, and some of you guys need to refresh it, Volkswagen Group, from the top. They don't really own Bugatti anymore, right?
No, they they kind of do, because it's like Rimac. It's Bugatti Rimac, I think is the name of the company, which is like Rimac owns 55%, but then Porsche owns 45% of Rimac. They're very integrated.
Okay.
But yeah, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Bentley, Audi, Porsche, Ducati, Volkswagen, Skoda, Seat, Scout, Cupra, MAN Trucking. I think that's all of them.
Yeah.
Which is still somehow less brands than Stellantis owns.
Right.
Which is
so
crazy.
Huge company.
Yeah.
America
massive.
Doesn't get all of them. We get most of them, but we do not get Skoda.
No.
Or Seat.
No.
But we will be getting Cupra apparently if Wayne Griffiths' plans come to fruition
5 years from now.
By 2030. So without further ado, let's get an introduction to Cupra via its CEO, Wayne Griffiths.
Yeah, and by 2030, Ed will be completely gray.
Okay, Wayne Griffiths, CEO of Seat and Cupra. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Long trip for you.
Long trip. I think you're jet lagged, so this is perfect. We're going to extract all the secrets, future business plan, everything from you. I think it's important for our audience, for you, as best as you can, to introduce America to your brands, your plans, what you plan to do when you come to the U.S.
Yeah, what we want to do. We want to inspire the world. And if we want to inspire the world, then I think we have to think global and not just Europe.
Okay.
We've been very successful in Europe with a startup brand, a brand new brand, Cupra, that we launched in 2018, 6 years now. We've already sold 750,000 cars, so 750,000 cars. Faster growth, I think, than any other new brand out there, any of them, in 5-6 years of time. This year we'll do about 250,000 cars as well. So a great success in a remarkable short period of time. driven, I think, by a couple of things. One, what our brand stands for. So a brand, I said before, inspiring the world from Barcelona. It's our motto. We want to do that with very cool design. We're proud of being from Spain, from Barcelona, a beautiful city. That's very inspiring for all of our engineers and designers to work there. And that's what we've been busy doing the last 6 years. And I mean, the numbers are great and it all looks good, but I think the biggest success that we've achieved is hitting a nerve with the next generation of consumers out there. We've really been able to do that. And that's something that's really surprised me, how successful we've been there, because they are very discerning. You're not going to bull your way through with marketing, blah, blah.
Right.
You have to be authentic. You have to be coherent. You have to walk the talk. So if you need to deliver on that, because not only is our industry in disruption as we move from combustion to electric cars, but also society is in disruption. And I think there's a generation of car lovers out there, a new generation of car lovers out there that want to drive something different than their parents and grandparents. And it's not about traditional values such as prestige, heritage, tradition, premium, prestige, luxury. It's more about being individuals, standing out by being different, emotional. They're looking for something different. And I think we've been able to hit that nerve with Cupra, in Europe at least.
So could you describe like what is different about Cupra? Remember, you're speaking mostly to people that have never seen one, or maybe never even heard of the brand. So what's different?
And I would say different from probably, I mean, you can say different from Seat, but most Americans don't know Seat.
Yeah,
so maybe different from Volkswagen.
Yeah, different from Volkswagen or Audi.
Yeah.
In the Volkswagen Group. I think what makes us different is our design.
Okay.
We don't design cars for people to like. We design cars for people to love, and not everybody. We provoke. When we do a car and I'm in the design room, when everybody likes a car, then I know we're not on the right thing. We want to really provoke and stand out by doing something different. And I think that is the key differentiator to us is this design aspect from Barcelona, but also the fact that we speak to this younger generation. We sell cars to an age of customer that's one generation younger than the rest of the Volkswagen Group, so 10 to 15 years younger.
So what's it like in the average age, like low 40s?
Low 40s.
Okay.
When we launched the Cupra Formentor, we launched the car and it was around 43. The average
so 43
age.
is
So
very young.
Very young on average.
So if you're listening and you're in your 20s, that sounds really old.
Yeah.
But for a car buyer, that's very young, an average age. That's crazy.
But it's like, I think about 10, 15 years younger than the rest of the group. So we managed to do that.
So again, what are the plans to come to the U.S.? What's the timing like?
Yeah, we want to be here by the end of the decade. That sounds a lot of time, no?
It's not.
It's not. I mean, we're in 2025 is just around the corner, and you need between 4 and 5 years to get the cars done. We want to do specific cars for the US.
So we'll get into the product in a second, but for anyone listening, like if you went to Cupra.com or whatever the website is, what you're looking at, it's not what's going to be coming to the U.S. necessarily. You'll have specific U.S. product and also like new generation of product.
Yeah, but I think when the consumers do go and look at what Cupra is doing in Europe and see the cars, they'll see our design, because I think that is so outstanding that you can see every Cupra and it looks like a Cupra. So I think that they can get a sense of. But when we don't underestimate the challenge of coming to the US, and a lot of brands have tried it here, and tried to bring or educate the US consumer about European products, and that normally doesn't work. You need to do what the US consumer wants, so that's bigger cars in general, bigger SUV, crossover. That's what we're looking at for the US market. So we're preparing that. And we need to prepare that properly, not only the product, but also making sure that the brand is understood and fits. When we've done some research around that, and we had positive feedback that the brand was understood and the proposition of the brand as well. hit with the certain American consumers. We don't want to be a huge volume brand. So we're not talking about selling millions of cars. We're happy with a range of a couple of cars at the beginning, and not in every city or in every state in the US. So we would go regional and start off regionally and not try and cover all America at once.
Like the Sun Belt per se?
It could be east-west.
East-west?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're looking at that, how we would, enter into the market. We have one big positive aspect is that we're part of the Volkswagen Group. And the Volkswagen Group has platforms developed for the US market, so combustion engine platforms, plug-in hybrid platforms, battery electric vehicle platforms for the US with the US spec.
Sure.
Which would allow us to hit the ground running because we have the platform, the technology, we have the factories in the North American region, in the US, in Chattanooga, but also in America. So we've got a lot going for us. And the final piece to the equation is having the right distribution and the right approach to the market. And here we're in discussions, and I think I can say today, can I say today? Yeah. My press boss says she's nodding. I can say that we're in advanced and early conversations still with Penske Automotive Group to help us retail the cars here in the US.
That's a huge dealer network.
That's a huge
massive
dealer network and a hugely experienced dealer network.
I've been in a motorhome in Roger's motorhome where he shows me on his iPad, like he's like, look how many cars I'm selling. Literally, it's like a live count from every dealership.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to have known Roger Penske now for, I don't know, over 25. I've been in the Volkswagen Group 35 years.
Right.
And Penske has a strong relationship with the Volkswagen Group.
Sure.
I was at Audi in Europe and in Germany and had the opportunity of working with Roger and the Penske Group on different projects. A big one in London. Where a very big project in London. So we've known each other a long time, and we were in early conversations. They like the idea, we like the idea, and we want to develop that further because we want to do it in a new way, not just a traditional franchise dealership model, but looking at a more online, new distribution model, but using the strength of a strong American retail partner.
Can you talk a little bit about how the decision from VW Group is made for Cupra to enter the U.S. market? Right. I mean, the U.S. market has a lot of VW brands from the top down, right, including Bentley, Lamborghini, Audi, Bugatti, Porsche, VW Group, just VW in general. Why? I know it's a younger demographic.
And Scout, let's not forget.
And Scout will be coming before Cupra lands. Did you have to sell it upwards? And what's the case you need to make to the board of management to get?
I think the case we've already made with the fact that we've sold 750,000 cars since we launched the brand.
Right.
Fastest growing brand in Europe. We made it in Germany, which is very difficult to do in the homeland of Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Audi. It's our biggest market, our biggest single market in the world is Germany. We're incredibly successful there.
I was going to say, I go to Germany, quite often, and they're everywhere. I mean, Cupras are and it was always weird. I'm like, what? Because I didn't really realize that it was a separate brand from Seat. I just thought it was, to me, Cupra was always like, the Leon Cupra. Like it was a performance brand or performance side of it. But yeah, they're everywhere.
Well, it wasn't until 2018 was a performance Seat model. 2018 we decided to create a standalone brand with Cupra. So back to your question, why would the group bet on Cupra for the US? Yeah. I think basically because we can attract different customers to the group than the other brands can. All the brands that you mentioned in this fantastic portfolio of brands that the Volkswagen Group have, they're all brands based on heritage, tradition, a lot of them premium, prestige, luxury. And Cupra's not about that. Cupra's the only brand new brand in the Volkswagen Group created from scratch. And you would say, well, why would you need that if you've got all these other fantastic brands? Because we believe there's a generation of customers out there looking for something different than what their parents and grandparents drove. Sure. They want to stand out. by being individual. And if you can hit that nerve with that generation, then I think that's what a lot of the new startup brands are trying to do. Here in the US, there's a lot. China even more. And that is their approach. So I think the Volkswagen Group is good that they have a new startup brand in their portfolio as well.
Okay. Looking for the best off-road trails? OnX Off-Road has you covered. With over 750,000 miles of trails and comprehensive offline maps, you can explore without worrying about cell service. Easily find trails for 4x4s, ATVs, dirt bikes, and more. Our app provides detailed trail info, including difficulty ratings and open/closed dates. OnX Off-Road also helps you navigate public and private land boundaries, ensuring you stay legal. Try OnX Off-Road free for 7 days and discover why it's the go-to app for off-roaders. Download now. Are you betting on China also?
We bet on China in terms of using our development and manufacturing footprint. Our Cupra Tavascan is manufactured in China at the moment, but not entering into the China market. Our priority at the moment would be the US, as well as when you see where the Volkswagen Group is in China, I think with around 20% market share, and here in the US with, I think, about 5% market share.
Right.
I think there's a lot more room for another brand in the Volkswagen Group here than in China at the moment. So therefore our priority is clearly the US in terms of going global.
I'm going to go pretty hard on your VW colleagues. What they haven't seemed to, VW of America has had a hard time selling vehicles. They seem to be going backwards in a lot of ways since I started in this industry. They keep hitting targets and missing them, and losing out, particularly on the small cars. They pulled out Golf. I think we're down to GTI.
Yeah, GTI and Golf R. Yeah.
How would that also be a reason why Cupra's coming? Like, are you going to pick up some market share that they seemingly have lost to the Koreans and
Subaru? I mean, Subaru outsells Volkswagen in the US,
which is crazy given the size. But yes,
and I don't think we benchmark ourselves against existing brands, whether they're in the Volkswagen Group or outside of the Volkswagen Group. We're a new brand, a new startup brand, contemporary brand, challenger brand, want to do things differently. So we don't really look left or right. And one of the things I always tell my people, we don't benchmark. Because if we benchmark, we're going to end up doing the same stuff as the others. Right. And we don't want to do that at Cupra.
Right.
Okay. So then when you come, you're planning to arrive in the U.S. by 2030. What will the product mix be? I heard your team said electrified, which means plug-in hybrid, battery electric.
Yeah, I mean, when we started talking about US and looking at a strategy for the US a couple of years ago, back then we were convinced that as a new brand we had to come fully electric. The only way is the inevitable.
You just made Ed's day.
Said it.
The inevitable thing would be to do the EV.
Don't say that again.
Because we know it is the long-term solution for reducing CO2 emissions and reversing climate change. So no question about the objective. It's just how you get there.
Right.
And things have changed over the last couple of years when you see the electric didn't perhaps go as fast as a lot of people thought, although in the US it's at 8%, I think, of the market, which is
higher,
which is better than where I come from in Spain, where we're only at 5%.
Right.
It's certainly the long-term objective, but to establish yourself in such a small niche of the market at the moment would be tricky. So, and I think we have to listen to the consumers. Okay, we want to, help the consumers, convince them that electric is the future, that it is the solution. But at the end of the day, you have to listen to what they want. And at the moment, there are consumers out there looking for hybrid cars, plug-in hybrid cars, efficient combustion cars as well, and EV cars. And I think we have to offer all of those technologies, ideally. We're not going to offer all of them in a huge range of products because we don't have the money to do that.
Right.
But I think we're going to need a couple of cars that offer that range of technology.
Inclusive of EREV, so extended range electric vehicles, which Scout is going pretty big on with their SUV. And
I think we'd become on SUVs could be or on pickups, but I think in our case we would be concentrating on plug-in hybrid, internal combustion engine, and battery electric vehicle.
You just said pickup. Are you guys planning? And you also said you want to come to the US with the right product.
Yeah.
Which I immediately said, oh, you're going to build an F-150 competitor, right? 'Cause that's the best. That's the best.
I think that's what Scout could do and should do probably.
Okay,
That's
so
what
they
Scout's
are.
at.
That Terra is the size of an
I don't think
F-150.
we're going to be doing pickups. I'd rather do something like this behind me.
Okay.
I think this is more about what we're about than pickups. So.
Okay.
But I think they're quite popular here as well. I was down on the beach in Malibu today and I saw a few cars similar to this driving around.
Sure,
so I think
sure.
there is a market for this.
What is that behind your head?
Dark Rebel.
Dark Rebel.
It's a fully electric sports car that we showed at the ERR in Munich, the last ERR in Munich, and surprised the whole world. And we'd love to do the car. It's not yet the right time, and we haven't made the money yet to be able to do that. But and if we want to become an iconic brand, then you need to do iconic cars, and that would be an iconic.
Is that a
car
2+2 or is it a 2-seater?
It's a two-seater, but also with the Targa version as well. The roof comes off.
Okay.
Spectacular car.
Yeah, you went
We'd
straight
love
to the
do
shooting
it.
brake, which is genius.
Well, I was also going to say, I mean, I know, Porsche's got a platform or two that, PPEs, that's pretty nice. So
Johnny the dots.
now, can I ask you, so Scout, and like Cupra is still emerging what the final everything's going to be, but Scout's been very not orthodox, but like hardcore in saying yes, we're owned by Volkswagen, but we make our own decisions. We're our own thing. We're going to have standalone Scout stores. You won't go to a Volkswagen dealer necessarily to buy a Scout. How close is Cupra to the Volkswagen Group in terms of are you making your own decisions for the U.S. market, or you know what I'm saying?
In terms of retail and commercializing the car, we're certainly outside of the Volkswagen Group. So we decided to set up our own entity in the US.
Okay.
We're appointing, or I can announce as well today, that one of our best guys that we had, the guy who ran Germany for us and made Germany such a success, Bernhard Bauer, is now in the US and will be running the operation here for us.
Great.
in this early phase. So on that side, we'll be going certainly our own way. But we can hit the ground running because we're part of the Volkswagen Group.
Right.
Hit the ground running. We have platforms, we have factories, we have warehouses, we have all those things. And then with the Penske, if we get to an agreement with Penske, then we would hit the ground running even faster.
Right.
With an established retail partner here in the US.
So, am I correct in this is your first trip to the US, your first Cupra official trip to the US, where, and he just nodded for those of you listening, where will you be based? Where will your headquarters be? Have you decided that yet?
Initially, because we're discussing with Penske, close to Penske. So initially we're going to set up office in Detroit. Okay. But then later we will see where it makes most sense. But for these early phases, I think it's really important to be close to our potential partner.
Okay, so that's interesting. So most Volkswagen brands in the U.S. are headquartered in Virginia. They're in Herndon, which is outside of D.C. And then Scout, though, they're separate. Scout, I believe, is in Detroit, Michigan. So we
would be separate as well.
Separate as well.
Yeah,
okay.
separate, and for the long term, probably closer to where our customers will be.
Okay.
Or where we think we can benefit most in terms of seeing what's going on and hitting this nerve with American consumers.
So you're saying L.A. I mean, L.A. Los Angeles defined
Florida,
global car
wherever.
culture.
I mean,
Terrible
there are
weather.
great places in the U.S.
Okay, gotcha.
And you mentioned earlier in the sort of the preamble that U.S. manufacturing is interesting because VW Group has a significant footprint here. Mm-hmm. They are making
plus Inflation Reduction Act.
Yes, the idea.
Sell EVs,
well, who knows what? Given this administration, who knows where that's going? Yeah. But assuming that you're going to build vehicles here because ID4s are being built here, and you're building and VW Group is building the larger SUVs. Should we be looking at current capacities and types of vehicles that VW Group is building on their lines, and imagine that this is a terrible way to phrase it, but essentially will be rebadged, restyled, rebodied as Cupras, or
No, none of our. When you see our cars on the corner there with our product range, I don't think any of those cars are badge cars. I mean, they're all unique in their design and uniquely engineered by us.
there's not a Golf in there a little bit?
No, there's no Golf in there.
Oh, okay.
Certainly
Okay,
not.
all right.
Certainly not. So
A Tiguan and one of no.
No, but like ID4, like one,
if you look at the Cupra Terramar, and if you see a Tiguan there, then it's the one at the front. It's the one we got downstairs as well.
yeah, we saw that. Yeah. So no sheet metal is shared whatsoever.
No, I mean the design is and the interior design as well, and the setup of the car is different. And I think that's been one of the reasons. And we wouldn't have sold 750,000 cars by just
rebadging of
Yeah,
VW,
that
right?
doesn't work.
So, what kind of product mix?
Sorry, the other important thing on the manufacturing side was as well the ability to export as well. So if you're going to make it in the US, you're going to have some regional manufacturing as well in the North American region if you want to be competitive here. But to get to the volumes you need per product, then the US market on its own is probably not going to be big enough for us to do a car just specific for the US. We would want to export that car to other markets in the world as well. And would help expand our global footprint outside of Europe as well, because if the car's good for the US, then it could be good for a lot of other global markets out there. So that's an important factor as well, which makes places like Mexico interesting as well, particularly when you want to re-export back to Europe.
So you're announcing today that you're also expanding into Mexico and Canada.
I'm not
That's
right.
amazing.
But Volkswagen has a big footprint in the Mexican auto industry. There's a factory
Factories.
there. Yeah, factories. What like product mix when you launch a brand? Are you coming with like one car at first? Are you going to launch with like 3 cars, or a mix of products? Like how do you because we had RJ from Rivian on, and they launched basically simultaneously an SUV, a pickup, and a van. And he said it was like trying to put an entire hamburger in your mouth and swallow or chew it. It was too much. And are you going to try and eat the whole hamburger, or what's your launch?
No, I don't think
strategy?
we wouldn't be able to make that type of investment each unique specific US car, so I think it requires investment. So, but I think you need at least 2 legs to stand on.
Okay.
Standing on one leg would not be enough, and you fall over. So I think we need a couple of legs to stand on, so at least 2 products. And I think as well addressing the different technological requirements of the customer, so combustion, plug-in hybrid, and battery electric as well.
Okay, so you'd launch with
But also from a timing point of view, if I was to come to the US as quickly as possible, then I'd probably be looking more at a combustion engine and a plug-in hybrid. And then for the next car, then to be then the battery electric vehicle.
So one of your legs would most certainly be an SUV or a crossover, probably a
For the US, definitely.
2-row, 5-passenger. What would the other leg be? Young, sporty.
No, I mean, what I could imagine when, we're going to be doing a new generation of the Cupra Formentor that has been our success car. That was our game changer.
Okay.
And to do a Cupra Formentor battery electric vehicle that also could work in the US. That would make a lot of sense.
And you mentioned.
But I don't want to do product planning here
I know.
tonight.
But you mentioned the powertrains. Would the 2 vehicles have variations? So you would have an internal combustion and a plug-in hybrid of
they'd
one or
either
both?
be the battery electric vehicle would be a
Only
purely
battery electric.
We're not going to do a multi-purpose track, what do they call
Powertrain?
it? Multi-powertrain.
like what BMW does, where they can put
Multi-traction.
combustion,
Yeah.
plug-in, and battery electric in the same
Yeah.
platform. You wouldn't be doing
Or
that.
Stellantis or some of the
Yeah.
other groups. Yeah.
Okay.
So you were at Audi for a long time, and obviously Audi's had great success in the U.S. and went from kind of like a basket case nothing brand to like a very premium brand. Overtook Mercedes in sales, I believe, at one point. When you're studying the U.S., like what does the European think about the U.S. market? Are you like, what are these guys nuts? Like, why is everything so big? What's the learning curve, or what's your learnings when you look at the U.S.
I
market?
think you have to be really well prepared when you come here. If you think you're going to come here and make it here and everybody's waiting for you, then I think you're going to get a wake-up call really quick. So I think, we need to not underestimate how big a challenge it is to be successful in the US. So your brand has to be right, and we think we have the right brand. Our testing shown that consumers, or certain consumers, like the brand. You need to have the right product for the American consumer, which is then a bigger SUV, and to those consumer requirements as well. And then you need to make it financially feasible. So some local manufacturing as well is going to be inevitable. So, too.
Yeah, such a good gimmick.
So related to that, let me ask, in terms of awareness, Cupra, Seat, Spanish brand from the home country, the U.S. has a large immigrant population, Latino, Spanish, but very spread out. What's the awareness of Cupra or Seat like here, and if like, and how are you going to expand on that? Are there certain things you're going to do in the interim before you arrive?
No, the awareness of Cupra in Europe as well is very low, but that doesn't worry me. We're not about brand awareness. We don't want to be a mass manufacturer. We're about brand desirability and really doing something that stands out and is different from the rest. And if we do that successfully, and not everybody knows us, I'm fine with that. Not everybody needs to know us. So the awareness issue is, for me, not the priority. It would be the desirability. And to create this desirability, then it's not going to be marketing blah blah and this guy here telling all this stuff. I mean, you have to deliver. You have to deliver on the brand. You have to deliver on the product, and that's essential. That your brand story is authentic. The people see it, and we have a simple brand story. We're a cool brand from Barcelona that does great cars because we have great designers working for us in one of the most beautiful cities in Europe that inspires people. And that's what we want to do, and we want to deliver on that. So the brand needs to be authentic and then coherent. So the way we do everything is different. So we're not just another car manufacturer trying to do the same as the rest and benchmarking the rest. We don't do that. We have a different approach to the market in terms of retail as well. Our Cupra City garages are really something different that we have across the world. We have 12 of them now in major cities.
And what is that?
Brand experience center, if you like.
Okay, got it.
Which is not just a car showroom. It's much more than that.
Like what? Describe it. Like what is one?
Well, we have one in Milan, in Madrid, in Paris, in Munich. Normally iconic buildings in the middle of the city, not where you would expect to find a car showroom. But then again, it's not a car showroom. It's a brand experience. There is product there. Yes, you can buy cars there if you like, but it's more you experience the Cupra brand, find out what the Cupra brand's all about. Normally with great restaurants or cafes in.
Oh, okay.
So a different approach to our customers, going to where our customers are instead of expecting them to come and find us in the car mile, wherever that is in the city where everybody else is.
And is that like operated by Cupra, not like would if you built one here in LA, would that be a Penske run operation, or would that be
Penske
Cupra?
would be the one to sell the cars there, but we design and develop the sites. But normally, to allow people to be able to buy cars there as well, then you need a retail partner in there. But it's not a car dealership.
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Actually, sounds like what Fiat tried to do in downtown LA, and then they got their hand slapped really bad because they were trying to sell cars from the corporate.
I was in Frankfurt recently, and NIO had a huge showroom.
NIO's got some insane experience.
And
NIO Rivian has similar.
Yep.
Yeah, but would I didn't get to go in there. I was just busy, but I was walking. It was literally below my hotel. Like the hotel I was in Frankfurt had a NIO dealership in the bottom floor, and there was like I don't know, 12 people that just came there to like work. It was like they sold coffee. Yeah. There's just guys on their laptops.
You need to come to Barcelona. Our place is full in Barcelona. It's right in the center of the city. That we call it Casa Sed, but there's also a Cupra City garage in there, and that place buzzes. That's in Paseo de Gracia Diagonal, right in the center of the city, and it is always full.
Okay.
And it's quite similar. People just like being there and spending time there, but also equally in Madrid, Munich.
So were you doing like site visits when you were out here in LA?
Having a look around today. But no, my next trip's to Istanbul. I open a Cupra City garage in Istanbul in a couple of weeks. And then I go to Vienna. We open a Cupra City garage in Vienna beginning of next year. And then to my hometown go back to Manchester, UK.
Oh, you're
to
from
open
Manchester,
it.
yeah?
I'm originally from Manchester.
Okay, great.
Before Brexit.
Right.
After Brexit, I took German nationality because I wanted to stay European.
Right.
But I was born and raised in the UK.
Oh, okay.
That's why I speak quite good English.
Yeah.
Well, with the Mancunian, German, Spanish accent.
Yeah, it's a tough accent to place, but
Yes.
yeah.
Let me ask you. So you know, I understand what you're doing. I think it's super interesting. The design is wild, especially this car behind us. You're a veteran of one of the largest car companies in the world. 35 years, and surely you.
Veteran sounds old, doesn't it? I don't feel it. I really don't know.
You look very young.
Cupra keeps me young.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying I've heard this story before from a major, the largest car company, launching a youth-aimed brand in the U.S. specifically. It was called Scion, and Toyota did it. And in the span of my career, launched it and then folded the tents and packed it all in. And it wasn't like a terrible failure at the end, but I think they just kind of saw the writing on the wall. They got, I think, a total of 5 vehicles out. They had that little tiny one, the IQ.
Yeah.
Have you studied it all? I mean, a lot of the same themes: design-led, youth-oriented. We're going to do it differently. Monospec. They're going to sell only one type. The dealerships will be completely separate from Toyota. They did DJ parties. They did breakdancing. It was youth. Ended up being a lot of old people ended up buying them.
Only old people bought them. Yeah.
But you know, any cautionary tales there? Are you aware of these other attempts, or you don't care? We're coming anyways.
No, I don't know whether they'd sold 750,000 cars before they did that. I mean, and that's what we've done with Cupra. So,
right.
So it's not like this is a PowerPoint exercise, or we're trying to do something. We're not. No, I think we've got some proven track record, even if it's short. We are the fastest growing car brand in Europe. I think what we've done in the first 6 years of Cupra with 750,000 cars sold, nobody else in the car industry has done. So I don't want to sound cocky or arrogant or whatever, and we're certainly not. But I think, we've done something. Whether that means you're going to make it in the US as well, it doesn't. No, and I said that at the beginning. We don't underestimate the challenge of the US, and we're going to prepare ourselves properly in terms of product, manufacturing strategy and distribution strategy in line with what the US consumer is. But I think we've got certain things in our recipe that could lead to a big success in the US. And like I say, I don't think it is an experiment anymore. Cupra is not an experiment. Cupra is fastest growing car brand in Europe.
Right. No, because I know like Peugeot, for instance, and I believe like Citroën and DS to some degree, they were really studying the U.S. market, and I know they were hiring people. They actually reach out to people I know to for a job, and then they said no, they packed it in. So what do you see different about the U.S. market? Because between Peugeot, Citroën, DS, it would be some of the same customers that you're looking at. Like what do you see that they didn't? What opportunity?
No, I think it's the time. Now's the right time.
Okay.
I said before, our industry is in disruption, and in disruption, some disappear, and a lot of newcomers emerge. Not only the disruption in terms of technological disruption, combustion engines to electric engines. We've seen a lot of new brands in the US as well.
Sure.
And there's a list of them, isn't there? And in China, even more.
Yeah.
But I think bigger than that is this disruption in the values of the younger people and the younger generation. And if you can hit that nerve, and I think that's here as well. I don't think everybody's entrenched in tradition. And I think there's a lot of young Americans as well looking for something new, something different, wanting to stand out, wanting to be individual, emotional. I think that's there as well. And if we can address that in a way that they understand and that they find desirable and attractive, then we could be successful.
Okay. I want to just ask one other question about the launch strategy, and then we can talk a little bit more about your career. But we've done about 100, and this is like the 104th episode over 3 years, and we launched this podcast because at the time we launched it, it was all about EVs, all about electrification. Everybody's like, we're going to catch Tesla, right? And in 3 years, everyone's like, well, actually plug-in hybrids seem to be, we all need to walk through the valley of plug-in hybrids to get to the EV promised land. Cupra, it's going to be 2025, roughly around the time this podcast airs. We're about a month before this thing will go up. That's 5 years. If the world flips again and it's back to full force on EVs or whatever's beyond hydrogen, who knows, right? How are you positioning the brand?
We're flexible.
Doesn't matter with the powertrain because you're design led. Is that kind of the deal or no?
No, we have electric cars, plug-in hybrid cars, combustion cars. And I think we have, and with the Volkswagen Group and the platforms that are available, as long as we're flexible and agile and fast enough. But we need to listen to the consumers. We can't force the consumers just because we think it's right. The consumers have to understand and also want that as well. And I think that's going to take time. But as time goes on, I mean, questioning the objective there's a lot of discussion in Europe at the moment whether the 2035 zero emissions, so no combustion cars basically from 2035, whether that is the right thing. There's a lot of discussion. Does it need to be later and whatever? Yeah. I don't think those discussions not for me make any sense, because I don't think we should be questioning the objective. It is obviously inevitable that this is the technology for passenger cars, at least. I mean, there's a lot of other discussion. Everybody's, well, but perhaps it's not the EV thing. Perhaps it's hydrogen. Right. Perhaps it's synthetic fuels. Distracted by lots of interesting discussions on other technologies that are relevant, but are not developed in scale to be a real solution. The only real solution to get to zero emissions and reduce CO2 is the electric vehicle, using renewable energy to charge it. So we just have to say, how can we get there? How can we speed it up? We're doing a 10 billion euro investment in Spain for the Volkswagen Group in the factories that we have in Spain for a urban electric vehicle. It's our big bet, making, if you like, or democratizing electromobility for the masses. So finally an electric car at 25,000 euro, not a premium prestige luxury car.
Right, yeah, that's a big step.
With a range of 500 kilometers. And so an urban electric vehicle. So finally, I think coming up with the offer that's been missing as well in the product. So the entry into the electric car market, that's what we're betting on. So there is no plan B. I don't think there's a plan B for the planet, and I don't think there's a plan B for us, because we made this decision to invest in the electromobility. The only thing is, you cannot afford to be dogmatic and not listen to your consumers on the way. And you'll have to, those that want to succeed have to be flexible and agile and offer something for everybody, but not detract from what is the long-term objective, and that's getting to electric vehicles as fast as we can.
And remember, I think, it's worth pointing out, 2025, Norway, no more internal combustion whatsoever allowed legally. China's probably going to do that 2027, something like that. Europe will do it when Europe does it. The U.S., who knows? But California and 12 other states, and these are the states where the people live, except for Texas and Florida, are saying no internal combustion by 2035. So you kind of
No, there are some good examples out there. You say Norway. Norway's a huge country, huge, a lot longer than Spain. Yeah. And they've managed to do it. I mean, and
it's cold.
Yeah, and it's cold as well. All this, the charging and the range goes down in the cold and all this. And somehow they've done that, and China's certainly doing that. And then we have markets like Spain, my home market, at 5% electric and going nowhere with no infrastructure. Right. So where there's a long way to go from 5% to 100%
is a long way
in less than 10 years. Is that going to happen? I mean, the curve doesn't show it. So unless we start to accelerate, we're not going to get there.
Right. Let me pivot here real quick to another thing we talk about a lot on this podcast, which is the software side, software-defined vehicles. And we've been tracking VW Group has had a lot of issues with its Cariad division and trying to, adapt to the sea change that's coming, which is software running everything, all the screens, delivering that premium experience. I get that Cupra is design-led. The cars are beautiful. They look really sharp.
And distinctive.
It's very distinctive. But what are you doing on the inside of the vehicle? What are you doing? I assume there's going to be some screens. There's going to be some cool lighting effects. There's going to be probably some great ADAS to autonomous technologies. Maybe not.
We're not going to do. I was amazed to see how many cars driving themselves here in Los Angeles with the Waymo.
The Waymo, yeah.
I mean,
Waymo's taking over. Yeah.
I mean, for me, my worst nightmare, if I'm honest, at Cupra, because we do cars for car lovers and people who enjoy driving. So what do? We focus everything around the driver, if you like.
Okay.
So anything we do in the car, it's not democratic, and for everybody and all the passengers, we are quite hedonistic, and this is a car to be driven. And if there was a Cupra button in the car, it would be a Cupra button not to take over, but to get rid of all the systems that are going to assist you and allow you to control and drive your car again.
So Cupra's going to be a driver's car.
A driver's car,
okay.
Definitely.
But then, are you going to offer the kids? They like their Spotify. They want to watch their Twitch or their YouTube. Like,
yeah.
Is there
on
anything?
their iPad or whatever.
Yeah. On
we'll have
the screen
to
there.
plug in, and I don't think we're going to have 25 screens in the car. Like I say, you have to make your call what you invest in. Mm-hmm. You do something there are other brands that will offer that, but it's not what Cupra will offer. Okay. Cupra will be around the driver. When you see our cars and the cockpits, the way they're created, everything is turned to the driver.
Yeah, I noticed that downstairs. Yeah.
Okay.
Because Audi and Porsche right now, I mean, there's like 5 screens in the front of every Audi and Porsche now. It's crazy. It's all screens.
I think we mentioned, if we didn't, we talked a little bit about Rivian on air, but off air, you mentioned that you had driven a Rivian, the R1T quad, and they are now in a tie-up with broader VW Group on electrical architecture.
Venture,
Yeah. Were you impressed with the screens on there? Is that something
I like
you're
the
like?
people. What impressed me, I'm always, at the end of the day, people make the brand wherever you go, and I think that's one of the reasons Cupra is where it is today, is the people behind the brand. So for my visit there today, I like the people, I like what they're doing. I see a lot of similarities and stuff that we're doing in the mindset, but I was particularly impressed by the product and the acceleration of the product.
1,025 horsepower is impressive.
It's impressive. It's impressive for a pickup. I mean, amazing, and the very, very good product. And had fun with the people there.
Okay. All right, so let's pivot to you, because we only got a little bit of time left. Let's talk about Wayne. The man, the myth, the legend. 35 years. It's a very successful guy. I mean, you're the CEO. So you must have some cool cars, either in your history of driving or personally currently right now.
And I never planned to be CEO.
Okay.
So I never had the plan. My destiny found me, but my destiny started probably when I was born, because I was born into a car dealership, basically. So when all the other kids were out there playing football on the weekends, I was washing cars for Dad.
What cars was he selling?
He sold Ford. Well, first of all, he had used cars, and then he got a Ford franchise, and then he got a Kia franchise. But when I was a kid in the showroom, particularly with the used cars, I grew up around classic cars such as Aston Martin, Jaguar, some of the fantastic UK brands that were around by then. So I always had petrol in my blood. Now I need to change it for batteries.
Right.
But so
4 wheels. Yeah.
You were a new Ford dealer in Manchester.
Yeah.
So
on the outskirts of Manchester.
Selling Escorts and Sierras.
Yes, and I had a XR2i Ford Fiesta. I also had an XR3i Cabriolet.
And
Escort.
You said Kia?
And then he
must have been the first Kia.
It was one of the first, yeah.
And
they weren't the nicest ones.
No,
and then when Peter Schreier, after Peter Schreier, they became outstanding.
Yes.
And you must have known
beautiful
Peter.
cars. Yeah, I knew Peter he did the TT at Audi, I think.
Yeah.
He was at Audi when I was at Audi as well. So now I've seen what he's done, what they've done at Kia.
Oh, yeah.
But I've always been fascinated by cars, and that's what I've got in my garage. I've got a car that's as old as me, which I think is good sometimes, because then I realize how old I actually am when I get into this car. It's a 1966 Jaguar E-Type.
Oh, nice.
And it's very old.
Okay.
Wooden steering wheel.
So 66 is Series 2?
No, Mark 1. First series.
1.5.
4.2. A straight 6.
Right, but it's
He's talking about the generation, but yes.
Yeah.
The Mark 1.
Yeah.
I've got that in the garage, and I've got a 35-year-old Jeep
Okay.
Renegade from my dad that I inherited when he died. So I've got a Jeep Renegade, and
The square lights?
and obviously I've got an electric car that it's inevitable that I have an electric car. So I have my Tavascan as well, because I have to be an ambassador for the electrification as well. But when I'm not working, and not in the spotlight, then I love driving my Jaguar or the Jeep as well. So I love cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are pretty iconic cars.
All right.
So, what color is the E-Type?
Red. Convertible.
Classic. Yeah. Oh, convertible.
And it's a US one as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So
it was
wrong-hand
it came
drive?
from the
no.
left-hand drive.
Because you're in Spain. Yeah.
Oh, you keep it in Spain. Oh, yes, because
Yeah,
you're not.
you're
You're,
the
yes,
CEO in
you're,
Spain.
Yeah, I
you're
wouldn't
not.
be able to use it very much in Germany. It's a bit cold and wet. So in Spain, I can use it most of the time. But these cars, when they're 58 years old like me, then they kind of break down, and you end up coming back with the tow truck and stuff like that. And it's fun.
Well, you got a little bit of time. Thank God you have another election cycle before Cupra arrives in the U.S. Where should people? And it's probably a little early for you to have a U.S. website, or if they're interested.
Yeah, if people are excited about what they've
and
heard.
interested, where should they go to
Get more information.
Get more information, look at, or send you suggestions for your imminent arrival to the U.S.? Is there any place that they should?
On my LinkedIn account, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah, they find me there. I'm on LinkedIn.
Oh, all right.
So anybody can contact me there. If not, on the Cupra website, the .com. We have a .com, and
Just Google it. Okay.
yeah, just Google us and you'll find it. I think you were quite surprised on actually what's going on around Cupra, around the world as well, not only in Europe. I mean, we're in Australia, we're in Mexico.
That.
We're big in Mexico, so your neighbor country here. We do. I mean, a lot of success in Mexico. We're in South America, Colombia and Chile.
Okay.
And
All right.
soon to be coming to the US.
Soon to the U.S.
Right.
All righty. Well, Wayne Griffiths, CEO of Seat and Cupra, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Yeah, we'll need it. Thank you.
The InEvitable Vodcast, brought to you by the all-electric Nissan Ariya. Inspired by the future, designed for the now.